All right, Philippians chapter 4, beginning verse 10. I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you have renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you have been concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I'm not saying this because I'm in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through Him who gives me strength. Contentment. Are you content today? Do you feel content? Some of you look like you're ready to go to sleep. What happened to the AC? I see you waving fans. Last week we were freezing. Today, is it a little warm in here? Just a touch? All right. Take care of that, would you, Sammy? Clap on. Clap on. Good, good. You feel content. Good. What is this contentment thing? See, in the English language, we use a word and we think we know what it means in the Bible. You know, sometimes we need to do a little bit of studying, and obviously we got to figure out what's going on in the context here. Oftentimes we put our own meaning on things without studying in its context, right? Content. What does it mean to be content? Well, let me share with you something that Paul is not talking about. In this contentment, he's not talking about complacency. He's not talking about apathy. You know, some people have come to what they feel is contentment because they don't give a flip. I don't care. I don't care about you. I don't care about anything. I don't even care about me. I don't care. I don't care. That's not a Christ-like attitude. To not care, to be apathetic, to be complacent about you and other people. Okay? It's also not, let me put it this way. There should be some things that should call us to what I'm going to use is a holy discontent. So, well, Tom, that seems like goes in contradiction with Paul is saying here. No, it isn't. Hear me out. My own personal spiritual growth, I am not content with where I'm at. I will not be content until I'm with Jesus in heaven. I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to do better. I want to continue to be a greater person of faith. I am not content with the fact that the greater majority of Lenawee County is going to hell. I'm not content with that. Not in my family, not in my neighborhood, not in this county. I'm not content with that, and I will not be. Caring for lost people, caring for poor people. Again, obviously, I'm not content with the strategy that we have at New Song, that it's not taking us to our vision, our mission, our purpose. So, and Paul has plenty of places here where he is not content with certain things. So what is it that he's talking about? He's not talking about, let me get back to what he is talking about, okay? He's talking about stuff. He's talking about materials. He's talking about circumstances. That's what he says. He describes it right here in the context of, I have learned to be content whatever my circumstances. I'm content whether I'm in every situation, whether I'm well-fed or hungry, plenty or want. Paul is talking about circumstances and stuff. Now, if you think about that, I want you to think about this. What is it that causes most people to be discontent? Circumstances and stuff. It screws up most people's day because of their stuff, or the lack of stuff, or the broken stuff, or the things that are happening in life, and it causes them to be discontent. Let me share with you where Paul's at in this letter, okay? Where he's at. He is now getting to the thank you note in the part where the church at Philippi had given him a gift. Probably was money, okay? And so he begins by basically telling them, you know, I'm overjoyed. I'm thankful in the Lord for this wonderful gift of money that you finally have had an opportunity to do. Because for a period of time, they weren't able to do that. I don't know why, but they weren't. But now they could finish what it is that they wanted to do. So Paul's basically saying, thank you for the dough. Thank you for the support, the financial support. But understand this, I'm fine with or without it. I'm fine with it or without it. God's taking good care of me. I've been fine through this whole time. And I'll explain that a little bit more as we go. Paul's not being rude, but he's, as well as saying thank you, he's also doing some teaching here. Paul is telling them, yeah, thanks. I'm happy to hear you're able to help me now as you desire to do it, but know that I'm doing just fine. But God is able to supply everything I need. There is not a situation in this life in which God won't empower me to face that situation with His infusion of power. You follow that? It's kind of an interesting thank you teaching type time. And so he's going to share with them this secret of contentment, okay? I have learned this secret of being content. That no matter what, God is in control. See, once we understand that, we'll be content. If we trust that no matter what happens in this world, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the situation, God is still in control. But I don't understand it. God is still in control. Can you imagine the people who lived in Hezekiah's time? You guys know Hezekiah, Old Testament king? Good king of Judah. He was one of the good kings, line of David. He brought all the people back to God. He renewed temple worship. He purged the community of idols and pagan worship and so on. Can you imagine the people when Manasseh, Hezekiah's son, came on, and this guy was worse than Ahab. He was into sorcery and witchcraft and, oh man, there wasn't a God he didn't worship. Can you imagine the people wondering what happened to God? Is He no longer in control? Is He no longer on the throne? Does He no longer care about us? I mean, the Bible says that the blood was flowing through the streets of Jerusalem because of Manasseh's reign. Can you imagine the faith struggle people had at that time because of the circumstances that were going on? Manasseh went ahead and it became a vassal of Assyria. And they were taxing them tremendously. You know, economically they were doing terrible. God's still in control. We need to understand that contentment here is not so much our thought of serenity. You know, we kind of think of contentment as like serenity. No, Paul talks about peace. He talks about joy earlier. This is something a little bit different. But the thing is, when we're really content, then we will have peace. It's a byproduct of contentment, okay? Here, let me share with you, and I forget where I'm quoting this from, but where is it from? Anyhow, I'll get it to you later. Listen to this. It's a spirit free from worry, untroubled by the ups and downs of eternal events, independent of people and things. Paul cherishes this self-sufficiency. It's a really neat word in Greek that we translate contentment. And it's hard to define with just one word. But rather, Paul has this sense of self-sufficiency. See, it's a word that he borrows from the Stoics. You guys familiar with the Stoics? Those stiff upper lip people, the being able to deny themselves kind of people, and the cynics, you know. They had kind of a prideful self-sufficiency. And so Paul takes that and he applies it to the Christian life. And the difference is, though, Paul is saying, I'm independent of the world, but I'm absolutely dependent upon God to infuse me with the power to live in this world. Do you see the difference? Huge difference. I'm not independent because of my own pride and self-sufficiency. I am dependent upon God. This is the message that Paul is getting across to the church at Philippi.